Hi, and welcome to the first tutorial. This one is called rigging a loot crate. This is being our loot crate here. And you can see it's made out of two different pieces. There's the lid, there's the base. If I lift it up, you can see it has an inside and the top has a recess. And what we're going to do is first we're going to talk a little bit about rigging, and then we're going to hook this crate up together so that it can be animated. Now, there's various kinds of rigging. Rigging is kind of a catch-all phrase for a lot of different things. Generally, it means the attachment of things together in order to manipulate them through animation um, or expression, um, which is, I guess, just another form of animation. So let's just say um, manipulation through animation. So the very first thing we need to understand is that these two objects have pivots. And so that thing, if I select them, you can see this is a gizmo, and the gizmo, you can see it here. This is translation, this is scale, and this is rotation. And you can see that when I rotate the bottom around, the top doesn't move. And then when I grab the top and rotate it around, and it doesn't move. Also, you'll notice that if I can get to a right view, that if I try and rotate the lid open, the pivot doesn't work because it's in the middle of the thing. So what we need to do is, first of all, make these two pieces so that they're working in harmony. And I would like to create a scenario where if I move the bottom piece, the top piece goes with it, and that and within that same scenario, be able to open the lid like you would a regular treasure chest. So if you were to wander up to this in a game, for instance, and bop it, it would go boo and open it up, and you would get swords or books or money or something. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is look at these objects statistics. These um, objects are not cleaned yet, which means that they have the construction of these objects resulted. The construction of these objects resulted in history. Excuse me. The construction of these objects resulted in history being recorded of their construction, and that's not good when you want them to be when you're trying to link them together or rig them. So what we need to do is make sure that they're clean. And so the first thing I'm going to do is select the top one, and I'm going to look here in the channel editor and see what's going on. And if the scale is okay, scale should always be 1, but there's rotations and translations and stuff all over the place. We want all these to be zeros and all these to be 1. That is a clean object. If I go into the attribute editor, you can also see, well, there's a material applied, and this is pretty clean. This one too. So somebody's gone in and deleted the history from these. So let's go do that. If you select the top and you go edit, delete by type, history, it gives it a good cleaning. That deletes any kind of modification that was done to it. It does not change the construction attributes of it, of where it exists now, but it does erase anything that was done before. So let's do that here too. Go select the bottom and go edit, delete by type, history. And now neither of these objects have construction history attached to them. They only have the history their current history, which unfortunately is not great. This one has a negative scale to it, and this one has rotations and stuff. So the way we fix these is we select the object, and we go up here and we go modify, freeze transformations. And this tells the computer that this is its new 0, point, meaning that this is now its center of the world. This is where it was created. It has no history. It has no transformations, rotations, or scale to it. It's just exists here. It's ready to go. It's a very clean object. It's super important that we do this, because if we attach this to this and then try and animate this, and this has a history to it, it will get what's called a nonlinear scale to it. And it deforms the object all crazy. You'll accidentally do it sometime, and then you'll go, oh, that's a non-uniform scale. I'll see if I can do that later, but for now, let's continue with cleaning up the object. So I'm going to select the bottom, and you can see it has all sorts of weird stuff going on. So once again, we come up here to modify, and I'm sorry, you should be in the modeling tab here because we're modeling. We're not rigging yet. We're in the modeling tab. So then I go modify, freeze transformations, and then you can see that resets everything there. And if you want, you can do modify center pivot. It looks like our pivot's pretty centered already. I'm going to change to move so I can see modify center pivot. Now, if our pivot was like way out here when we selected it, right, and I tried to rotate this, it would rotate around the pivot way out there. So we don't want that. We want this pivot to be in the center of the box so that when we move the box, it actually moves the box from the center of the box, not from some place outside. Now we will offset the top pivot here in a second to connect them, but that's not quite yet. So let's go in here and go modify with the box selected, modify center pivot. Great. So now the box is there and it moves from there around and around. Great. Now, like I was showing you before, if we try to open this crate, its pivot is centered as well. So that's not going to work. We're going to have to move it. If I hit Control Z to go back, now that we have these things all zeroed here, you can see that as I rotated it, it went 63 degrees, blah, 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 blah. So we can just type in 0 here, hit enter, and it goes back to our 0, 0 point. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a side view of the box. And this is the front, you can tell because it's got the little lock bit on it. And we need to move the pivot of this box back a little bit. Maybe I want to rotate it a little tiny bit and bring it up a little bit. If you have trouble seeing this, you can hit 4 and zoom in and then make sure that it's sitting as tightly as possible. It's kind of a rough hewn top, so we can get close to them. There. And of course, now that we've moved it and stuff, we have to go up here and go modify, freeze transformations, and back it goes. Okay, now to move the pivot, you hit D on the keyboard, and you'll see that a little circle appears. Grab the arrows, not the circles, because you don't want to rotate it. We want to keep its alignment to the world. But we do want to put the pivot on the very corner of this so that when it opens like it has hinges. So now we can select the object, and I can rotate it up and down. And if I rotate it up, you can see it starts cranking numbers here. If I hit 0, just that, if I hit negative 90, it opens 90 degrees. If I hit negative 45, great, now it opens perfectly. And we can control that by typing in degrees, radius degrees, so we're rotating it in the Z in powers of like on a compass. 30, 60, 90, 45, or we can just arbitrarily rotate it whatever we want. You don't want to rotate it positive numbers because apparently that goes the other way. Okay, goes clockwise. So great, so we're all done. So the lid opens up and we're all happy. I can grab the bottom and nope, sorry, we forgot something. We need to connect this to this. So in order to connect the top to the bottom, we're going to use what's called a parent modifier. If you look up here, I'll change this to rigging, and we look here at constraints, we have parent constraint, and I can click on that, and it shows you all the different things. Like I want all translate and rotate. I want this to control all aspects of this. I want it to maintain the offset. There's times when you would want these, if I parented it to it, you want it to zip to its axis points. So like this axis point would zip to this one, but we want to maintain that offset. So this is all good. I tell you what, I hardly ever open it, but so I'm going to close that. And as long as you remember, when you're doing this, you always select the child first and then the parent. And then you can see here, right? This is the child up here in the outliner, and then this is the parent. So child, and then I'm holding down shift, selecting the parent, and then I'm going to hit P on the keyboard for parent. And now you can see it's changed here where it's created a little plus sign. So if I crank open that plus sign, you'll see that now the lid is a child of the bottom of the box. And when I select the bottom of the box, it all lights up, but that's not really, it's just saying that the whole thing is part of this array or this this hierarchy. Okay, so now when I move the bottom of the box around, you can see the whole box goes around. I can rotate it. I can do anything I want with it. It moves as one object. To get it back to the 0, point for it, I just have to type in the zeros here. And also now I can still rotate the roof open if I feel like it. And then I can still move this, so the roof still moves independently of the bottom, but it's connected. Okay, bring that down. So if you wanted to animate this, you would grab both of them, make sure that they're both selected. Like I said, you can grab the bottom and think you have both of them, but if I set a key now, the top piece doesn't get a key. But if you select both of them and set a key, and I'm doing that by hitting S, and you can see it puts a little red dot there, it sets a key on both of them. And so say in 10 seconds, I want this thing to, oops, I want this to open, so I need to just select the top part to open it. No. And if I want it to spin 360 degrees while it's opening, because it's a magic crate, apparently. I could look up here, and I got 333 degrees, so if I want to go 359 degrees, it doesn't really like going 360, so you do like 1 point less than 360. And then you can see as the lid opens, it spins in a circle. And I can animate them independently if I want. I can make the lid come back down. And then I can make it bounce up and get like a funny angle. So it would come down, and bounce a little bit, and then come back down. Move this out a little bit. Come on over here. You copy that key. And you didn't know this was an animation course, did you? Paste so it hangs a little bit. Boom, boom. Put that together and it looks like this. You'd probably want it open for a little bit longer. So you can see all we've done is taken these two shapes without any kind of skinning or weighting or bone constructions and connected them together and then animated them. And honestly, it's not that different than what you could achieve if you used a skinning system to do this. Now, this will work great for animation. So if you're animating something and you're rendering it out, this is the way to go. However, if your plan is to put this in a video game, engines need skin and bones. And so we're going to learn how to do it the other way in our next demonstration.